episode of The Blue Sofa, we are gonna talk about 5 habits that are keeping you stuck in your business. And of course, how to get back into your own flow. So if you are feeling like business can be somehow heavy or foggy, or you lack clarity, or you just feel frustrated in your business, then I think this episode is going to be amazing for you, because I have 5 very sneaky habits that keeps most soulful entrepreneurs stuck. And I want to share them with you, and I want to share my reframes with you so you can take back your own creativity, take back your own energy, and start taking aligned actions again in your business. This episode is going to really dive into the depth of ourselves, because most of the things, most of the habits, most of the actions that we take are subconscious. And we do them not because we want to sabotage ourselves, or because we are not smart enough, or we don't want to experience the success that we want to experience. We're doing it because we don't even know we're doing it. We're doing it because it is unconscious, and it is buried within our beliefs in a way that they're difficult to dig out, and they're difficult to actually get your hands on and change. So that's why we're diving a little deeper here today, and I'm introducing 5 habits that, well, maybe all of them, you can recognize yourself in all of them, and maybe some of them is going to speak to you. So this is going to be one of those episodes that you can listen to more times. You can listen to it now, you can listen to it in a year, and maybe something new is going to come up. So it's really transformational episode. So I hope you enjoy, take some notes, and just feel into what is talking to you right now, what is drawing you in, what is the one thing where your body goes, I need to look at this. Okay, let's dive in. The first habit is around hustling for worth instead of creating from the wholeness of you. So how can this habit show up in your business? There are 2 very specific ways they normally show up. One is pricing. So if you are pricing yourself either really low because you think, well, then they want to purchase from me. Now that could actually be because you don't feel that your products or your services, or even what you do and who you are worthy enough for that premium price. Maybe you could be in the other end of the scale and only wanting to have premium prices because it makes you feel more worthy. And it makes you feel more valuable, even though it's an identity thing and not a product thing. So of course, to get premium pricing, your products needs to be good. It's not about you. Your price is not about you. I actually had a healer once. I was working with a healer, and she said, what is it with prices? Like, you're not a prostitute. We don't price ourselves like we are prostitutes. And I was laughing so much because it's true, right? The price in our business is not us. We are not selling ourselves. So we have to detach from the price. Our value has nothing to do with the price. The price is for the product. So if you feel some kind of attached, or you're very either drawn to wanting to have premium prices because you feel more valuable, or you are lowering your prices because you're not sure you are valuable enough, then maybe there are some healing work to do here. Another way this is showing up is overworking. So overworking to prove yourself, like, for example, doing too much, overextending yourself, giving too much to your clients, working too many hours because you want your business to grow faster, to prove yourself, that could be your parents, it could be your siblings, it could be your friends, it could be your husband, your spouse, it could be your peers, it could be to prove to yourself that you are good enough, that you can do this. And what happens instead is that we burn out. So instead of being grounded in ourselves and feeling whole and good enough and taking one step at a time, building a business based on our values. So nobody says you have to build a 6-figure business in 3 months, a year, 10 years even. That's not anybody's business. That's your business, because you get to lead. You get to decide, how do I want to build this business? What values? What are my values? And those are the foundation of my actions. So if my value is to work part-time, my value is to spend most of my time with my kids, my value is to travel the world first and foremost, then of course there won't be that many hours for your business. And of course that's going to mean in the beginning you're not growing so fast. I mean, when we come to the scaling phase, you can still scale really fast on a part-time, but in the beginning, no, maybe it's not that fast, and that's okay. It has nothing to do with your value or how worthy you are, how successful you are, because that is all measured from your values, right? So whenever we want to create something, we want to create it in a way where we create it from our power, from our creative force, right? And not from survival. And the minute we want to achieve or we want to perform to get something, you can be quite sure it's from survival. So maybe if you feel that urge to prove yourself, then just pause and just breathe and just take a moment for yourself and ask yourself, am I actually creating this for myself? Am I creating this from the joy of creating? Am I creating this from my purpose? Or am I trying to prove my value? And if you want to take this a little bit further, you can reflect on this question. What would I create if I already felt like I was enough? What would I create if I felt I was enough? So the truth is here, you don't have to earn your worth. Your creativity, it's gonna flow when you feel whole and when you feel you are enough. So there's always tons of healing work when we start a business. And I feel this is one of the big ones, because when we start feeling like we have to perform or we have to prove ourselves or we have to overwork to prove anything, then it's almost always that feeling of worth we are called to heal. And it's actually quite amazing. So if you get this urge to want to prove yourself, want to overwork, want to lower your prices, or whatever it is that you want to do to feel worthy, then it's just an invitation to heal that inner feeling of good enough. And it's an amazing journey to start. That's what I am so excited about business, because it is honestly such a personal development journey, because you're always being called into healing these wounds inside of yourself. It's such an amazing journey. Habit number 2 is consuming more than you are creating and falling into the comparison trap. So maybe you tend to use time. I know this is very, very normal, but it's also one of these habits that really keeps us stuck. And sometimes I even find myself doing it. So I'm scrolling Instagram and suddenly I'm seeing someone else's polished lawns, or they have this dreamy lifestyle. And suddenly I start questioning my own path. And maybe you do that too. And maybe you question, well, is my content good enough? Are my offers even good enough? Or maybe you feel like that you want to try to do content the way they do, or something else, drawn into actually showing up as something that just isn't you. So what happens when we consume more than we create, especially through this endless scrolling? We cloud our own clarity and we disconnect from our own creative channel, and it is leading directly into comparison. And comparison, that's not just the thief of joy, which is bad enough. It's also the thief of abundance, because we disconnect from our own abundance. We disconnect from our own ability to reach into our own inner and create something to the world, create something we can sell, create something we can share, right? And that's the worst thing, that there is a right way of doing business and it is apparently not yours. And your voice and your energy and your timeline is not the right one. And this is where it becomes really difficult to be in business, and it's become difficult to create, because we're so consumed by other people's energy, by other people's way of doing things, by other people's timeline, that we completely forget to tap into our own. So if you feel this, first of all, allow yourself to withdraw. Get away from the disaster. Close down Instagram, close down Facebook, close down YouTube, and just sit a moment and remind yourself that you have the ability to trust your timing and trust your own way, trust your own worth, and really tap into that. Tap into your own timing. Tap into your aligned way of doing things. Tap into your true voice. And even try to give yourself breaks from consuming. Practice just taking out days and weeks of consuming other people's content. And before you open your Instagram, before you open your inbox, before you open whatever planning tool you use to then allow yourself to remember, okay, right now I'm going in just to post, not to consume, but I'm going in to create. I'm going in to create and give my contribution to Instagram, Facebook, emails, whatever it is, but not to consume. And if you need to, mute people, unfollow accounts so you don't feel triggered by comparison or even like longing to do anything else. Or even curate your own feed to reflect something that's really uplifting. So for example, in my feed, I have like a lot of sourdough. I have a lot of interior design. I have a lot of fashion. I have a lot of skincare. And I have a lot of really inappropriate quotes about partnership and marriage, so I can like harass my husband because that's super important. So that's what my feed on Instagram looks like, because I don't want to compare. I don't want to be triggered into, or I don't want to be consuming other people's content, because it's gonna blur my own creativity and my own voice, and I don't want that, because that is my asset number one. Like if I cannot be in my own magic, nobody can feel me. So I don't want that in my life, so to speak. So I just invite you to do that too, because you can't channel your own magic while copying somebody else's blueprint, right? And your creativity that lives inside of you, lives in your timing, lives in your own rhythm. And that can only flow when you stop looking outside yourself and start listening to yourself inwards, right? And that's such a powerful habit to take back your voice and take back your own power. Habit number 3 is also super powerful, and it's about avoiding being seen because it feels unsafe. So avoiding visibility, avoiding marketing because it feels unsafe. I want to introduce you to something that's called visibility wounds. A visibility wound is a deep wound we have inside of us where we are so afraid to be seen because we have this, I'm going to call it a trauma. We have a trauma around being seen. So maybe you were judged a lot when you were a child. Maybe you were told that you were not allowed to have a voice, to have an opinion. Or maybe you were misunderstood a lot when you were younger. And now it feels like visibility is super scary and you expect the worst, or you just want to crawl along the walls and not being seen because it triggers a survival instinct in you, right? Now, what I have learned is diving deep into visibility wounds can be one of the most powerful things you can do in your business, because when we have a business, we need to be visible. We need to use our voice. We need to spread our message. We need to communicate our mission, right? And if you are afraid of being visible, it can be super difficult and it will feel hard. And it will feel like a struggle to be visible. And that energy of, for example, feeling misunderstood, that's going to reflect in your emails. That's going to reflect in your coaching clients. That's going to reflect, in your ads. And you're going to feel that. And people are going to feel it. So visibility is not just about marketing, actually. It's not about being loud. It's about being seen and heard and understood. And to do that in a way that feels aligned, maybe you need to dive into visibility wounds and really heal them. So ask yourself, where do I still believe I have to hide to be safe? And try to break that visibility wound or heal it with a soft share. So share something authentic, share something light, and let that be enough for you just to get that feeling of I am safe, I can share without being misunderstood, without being judged, without feeling like I don't belong here. I think you can almost feel from this conversation that if you have visibility wounds and you don't feel safe sharing, it's really difficult to run a business, and it's really difficult to allow yourself to impact as much as you really want to. So when we work on visibility wounds and we work on feeling safe within ourselves and supported within ourselves, and we heal all of these wounds, our natural and organic joy of sharing, the want to share, I really want to share, I feel inspired to share, that returns. Because I don't believe that if you want a business, like if your heart's desire is a business, or if your heart's desire is to scale to multiple six figures, or whatever your next step is, that cannot be your desire if you do not have a voice, and if your voice and your mission doesn't want to be shared. So it's natural for you, that's my whole point here. It's natural for you to want to impact. It's natural for you to want to share in a very balanced but extremely powerful way. And when we have these visibility blocks, it makes it difficult, and it feels difficult, and it feels unnatural. And it's not because it is hard or it's unnatural, or because you lack like 1,000 skills. It's simply because we have this wall inside of us that's protecting us. And that's the one we want to release. So to do that, like, you might need a little bit of deeper work. You might want to give yourself some time to explore and sharing in a more soft way until you find this place where it feels safe, again. Habit number 4 is planning without energy alignment. And I am absolutely sure you know this one, because I feel it's like a universal challenge for most female entrepreneurs. But for example, for me, I want to create a new automated sales funnel. And in my mind, I have it all planned out. I know exactly what I want to do. I know exactly what needs to be done. The strategy is there. It's all perfect, right? So I created a project for it, and that project was supposed to be done 2 weeks ago. But what I did not plan for was my kids were off school because it's summer holiday. We had a lot of contractors in the house, so there's like constantly things that I need to take care of. And my husband is also not working from home at the moment, and my au pair was on holiday. So I didn't plan for all of these things, and because of that, I had a lot of extra things to do. So my energy just wasn't there. My energy were not on a sales funnel. It was focusing on getting the household to work, making sure that our bathrooms are getting renovated, and a lot of different other things, right? So my mind were like, we need to do this. But my energy was like, well, it's not the timing right now because there's a lot of other things going on. So we have these, I should do this, I should do that. But for 1,000 different reasons, it can't be done. Or it could also be that it totally drains you. And my point here is that strategy is amazing and planning is amazing, but it's a suggestion. It's a map. It's a map to get from A to B, right? You have a project, it's a map to get from A to B, and your energy is the vehicle. So I have been working on this funnel, and actually I'm quite far, but I'm not done yet. And the reason why I'm not done is not because I can't do it. I don't have the skills that I don't know how to do. I've been procrastinating, anything like that. It's simply because there's been so many other things. So instead of like, you criticizing myself or forcing or pushing myself or working late nights and stuff like that, just felt into my body. And I just felt into, okay, what do I need to make this happen, but not drain myself? So maybe you can do this too, like check in your body. Is your current plan making you feel contracted or open? And I was checking into how can I make this feel like flow? And what I needed to do was I needed to go back and audit my project, right? And look at, okay, what is actually realistic here? What energizes me? What drains me at the moment? And just plan and adjust accordingly. So I did that. And the moment I sat down and had that like real talk conversation with myself, I could see this was not a matter of me procrastinating or feeling fear or anything like that. It was just like being too optimistic and trying to do too many things at one time and plan without the energy alignment. So the main thing to take away from here is you can't flow. You can't be in the flow and feel energized in your business if you keep on draining your energy because of misaligned plans, right? So we want to be gentle with ourselves. That doesn't mean giving up, or it doesn't mean not being committed. It just means not being so hard to yourself. It just means not forcing yourself when you can actually feel, well, I used my energy today, so I don't have any more. So that's why I shouldn't do anymore. I should just sleep and rejuvenate and start again tomorrow. And that's kind of how it is. At one point I had a mentor. I want to share this story with you because it was mind-blowing for me. So I was taught by my parents that, you know what, just work. Go out and do it. Just do it, because that's how they are, and that's honestly how they enjoy life. So when I met my mentor, it was because I was going through her certification program to become a spiritual mentor. It was in 2014, I think, more than 10 years ago. Absolutely crazy. I said, oh, I'm so tired all the time. And she was like, oh, but why don't you rest? And I was like, why don't I rest? What kind of advice is that? Why don't you rest? I can't rest. I was like, why can't you rest? She said. And I didn't have a good answer. And she told me that when your body is tired, it's because it needs rest. If you feel like sleeping, take a nap. If your body is tired, lay down on the couch without guilt and just relax. And I know this is such a simple thing, but for me at that time, to give myself that permission was huge. I was like, no, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not rest time, it's work time. But what I learned from that is that if our plans or our mind, the way we think our shoulds drain our body, depletes our energy, then it's not a good plan. Then it's a very, very toxic plan, and it's going to lead you straight to burnout. But the moment we respect our body, respect our cycle, respect our body's signals, we can stay in the flow and we can stay energized in our business, but we have to respect it, even though that means making changes or adjusting accordingly in your projects, right? The last habit I want to share is waiting for clarity before taking action. And this is a huge one. I know this one it can be really heavy when you are starting out, but I also know for a fact that this is a real thing whenever you want to grow your business. Then waiting for clarity before taking action. The thing is, we can wait and we can be stuck in a waiting position for such a long time. So we don't even get any clarity, or we start to doubt ourselves, or we start to doubt our timeline, we start to doubt our mission, or just doubt in general. I remember when I wanted to start my global business, like transition from Danish to English in my business, or like part of my business, I thought I had to figure everything out before I started. Like I thought I had to have completely overview of my products, of my, funnels, of my backend, my systems and everything. And what I learned was that it stalled me a lot. Like it made me stuck in overthinking, over planning, trying to make everything make sense. What I need, and it's different from person to person, but what I need to take action, I found out, and that's what I learned during the last maybe 3 years or something like that, is that I need an overview. I need to see the bigger vision, but I do not need to understand every single step. Because if I'm trying to control every single step and get that clarity in every single step, I will stay stuck. So when I create the overall vision, I can see the bigger vision, then I can start. Then I can take the steps, and then the clarity comes. Clarity follows commitment. So whatever you need to commit yourself, and sometimes, to be honest, commitment takes a lot of healing. One of my friends, I talked to her, it's quite some time ago, actually, we talked about this. But we talked about how we had been stuck in a savior energy, like trying to save our clients, trying to help everywhere, but in a people-pleasing energy. And from that, we were both feeling a little bit stuck, because I think I know that we hadn't quite healed the trauma of people pleasing and the energy drain of people pleasing. So we didn't have clarity, we thought. But what we didn't have was commitment. And the reason we didn't have commitment was because we hadn't healed the wound of the people pleaser. So we had to both dive into healing that wound. And when we healed that wound, the commitment started. We could stay committed again. We could be excited again. And then the first step of clarity followed. And then we could follow that step and that step and that step. So my point is, sometimes, first of all, clarity comes with commitment. And sometimes there's something below the surface that needs to be addressed before we can fully commit, before the clarity then can arrive. So what small step could you take today to commit? And what small step could you take today to, get started on the thing you want to do so clarity can arrive? And if you feel like the problem is not so much that I'm afraid that I don't have clarity, but it is actually that I don't feel I can commit, then I want to ask you, what wound do you have beneath? What are you afraid of beneath that makes sure that you can commit? What is holding you back from the commitment? What fear is holding you back from that commitment? Because that's essentially what you want to give your attention so you can get back into that commitment energy and that excitement for the next step, because then I promise you clarity is going to follow you. So that was the 5 habits. And I want to remind you that if you are going through it and you're experiencing any of these 5 habits, just know that you are not alone. This is very, very normal. And that's why I want to talk about it. I want to normalize feeling stuck, because we do it all the time. And the problem is not so much being stuck. The problem is when you don't allow yourself to heal, or you don't allow yourself to choose differently so you can, get the tools to get out of feeling stuck. Now, if you like this kind of conversation, please let me know. Go to my Instagram, shoot me a message, and let me know what you loved the most about the conversation. And also make sure to leave a review, 5-star, of course, for this podcast, and share it with anybody you know who would love to learn more about the habits that keep them stuck. For now, I want to say thank you for listening and see you in the next episode. Have an absolutely wonderful day.